To the Tales from Horizon podcast. I'm your World Forger Neil, and it is my great honour to transport you to the world of Horizon with today's story, The Autumn of Picada. It is a universally acknowledged truth that a solitary necromancer in possession of a spiral tower on an uninhabited island must be in want of absolutely no one. Absolutely not something with fur or leaves. Picada Salvation had, for the most part, made peace with his lot in life. Stranded in a world that was not his own, wrapped in layers of dark robes and darker moods, and living in a tower that twisted like an argument between two architects with a grudge. Calvessa was an island that seemed to have been designed by a committee of nature spirits who had never agreed on what a tree should look like, but very much agreed on more vines. The jungle pulsed with life, shimmered with colours that ought not shimmer, and made noises that had no business being natural. It was alive in the way that made a man feel watched, whispered about, and occasionally poked. Picada, in his quiet way, enjoyed this. It was better than being surrounded by the dull plod of civilization, or worse, people who asked questions. On the third day of the season of lengthening rains, which came after the season of slightly more rains, but before the season of inexplicable fog, Picada left his tower in pursuit of mushrooms. Not for spells this time, but for soup. Even necromancers need lunch. It was then he heard it, a sound that didn't belong. Not the chirp-hiss-scream of the jungle parrots. Not the eternal creak of damp bark rubbing against itself like tired elbows. No. This was small, hurt, a whimper. Picada, who had very firm rules about not getting involved with the problems of living things, immediately went toward the sound. His own body sighed at him. There, in a tangle of golden ferns and whispering moss, lay a creature. No, something else. It was a Tavir, though Picada had no name for it yet. Small, quadrupedal, its fur a cascade of autumn tones, burnt orange, copper gold, a smattering of earthen green along its back where something leafy unfurled like wings that never bothered with flying. One leg was twisted oddly, and its side bore the marks of a jungle predator's curiosity. The creature turned its head weakly, eyes blinking slow and uncertain at the cloaked stranger who emerged from the trees like a thundercloud in boots. Oh, Picada said flatly, because sometimes one syllable contained the entire moral struggle of a man. The Tavir blinked again. It did not run. That was possibly the deciding factor. He knelt, whispered something in a language that hadn't been spoken on Horizon in 100,000 anythings. Then, carefully, because necromancers are excellent at not making things worse when they try, he lifted the creature into his arms. Back to the tower they went. The weeks that followed were an odd kind of duet. Picada tended to the creature with potions, poultices, and the sort of muttered affection one normally reserves for furniture one has accidentally grown attached to. The Tavir healed. Slowly, cautiously, but it healed. It was several days before she purred. Not the sort of purr a house cat makes when it's warm and fed, but the kind that vibrated through stone and reminded you that this thing, whilst small, was also ancient and sacred and very possibly smarter than you. He began to talk to her. He didn't realize it at first. He just found it easier than talking to the jungle or to himself. He told her of Bug, and moonlight, and the stars from the sky of a world that wasn't here. She would curl closer when he did. One evening during the season of small fires, which was largely ceremonial and involved a great deal of shouting at clouds, he sat beside her as the sun drew bleeding colours across the sky. "I think," he said aloud, "you were meant to find me. Or I was meant to find you. Or perhaps we were flung into the same impossible page of the same improbable book." The Tavir nosed his hand gently, leafy fur brushing against his fingers like the last kiss of a fading summer. I'm calling you Autumn, he decided. You look like you were born from the death of something beautiful. She licked his wrist, which he took as agreement. Now, if one were to sail too close to Calvesa, and be foolish enough to land, foolishness being a common affliction among sailors, they might swear they saw a cloaked figure walking with a jungle beast at his side, both of them silent and oddly in step. They might also swear the jungle seemed to lean toward the pair as they passed. Autumn and Picada, a sorcerer and his season. Neither of them had ever been good at being alone, but the world, particularly this one, had conspired to make them need each other. And that, after all, is the best kind of magic.